afternoon, everyone. My name is David, and today I stand on stage to share my journey of baptism and what has God done for my life. As you know, I joined BGC 12 years ago when my father joined Tuesday Support Group, and soon I joined youth ministry. And soon, the topic of baptism would occasionally come out. At first, I dismissed it, thinking, isn't believing in Jesus enough to be saved? I also had doubts about whether I could truly commit to a Christian life. I had seen relatives who were baptized but later drifted away from their faith, and I feared the same might happen to me. But then came a sermon that changed my perspective entirely. On a sunny morning, Pastor Billy spoke about the great tribulation and the challenges we Christians would face under the reign of the Antichrist. As he explained how these prophecies were aligning with modern events, a sense of urgency gripped my heart. I realized that my faith needed to be more than just belief. It had to be an active declaration of trust in Christ. I didn't want to stand before Jesus one day and hear him ask why I hadn't taken this step of obedience despite believing in Jesus. Around this time, God began to do something that will help me in my life. One afternoon, while watching a house tour video, I suddenly felt inspired to build a house. I decided to start working on a model of a 10-story house. Little did I know, this project was part of something bigger. The following Sunday, Pastor Billy spoke about the need to build a branch church. I felt so inspired, so I began to think of pursuing architecture and maybe one day help to design the branch church. However, I didn't even meet the requirement to study it in a traditional university path, as I never took physics, which will prevent me from going through the JC route. But God had a better plan for me. I prayed earnestly for guidance, and he directed me to Singapore Polytechnic's architecture program. Remarkably, this program didn't require a physics background, and if I do well, I can pursue the course at a university level, which will fulfill my dream. Coincidentally, or rather, the early admission exercise had just opened. With a leap of faith, I submitted my application. The next few weeks were nerve-wracking. I was shortlisted for a test and had to submit a portfolio. I was worried, but God reminded me of the model house that I had built. With trembling hands, I submitted it, praying that it would be enough. During the test, I was tasked with designing the backyard of an HDB. As I worked, God inspired me with ideas for eco-friendly features, which I incorporated into my design. A few days later, I received the news. I had passed the test and was invited for an interview. Leading up to the interview, I was filled with anxiety. I prayed anxiously, and suddenly I was reminded by Pastor Samuel's sermon about that the prayer of a righteous person will be successful. Then I began to seek Pastor Billy and my cell group members to pray about my interview. When the interview day arrived, I felt a wave of peace washing over me as I stepped into the room. I spoke with confidence about my passion for architecture, my journey of faith, and the inspiration behind my designs. The interviewers seemed genuinely impressed. Still, doubts crept in afterwards. At the same time, I still had other courses like electrical engineering in mind. I prayed again, asking God to make his will clear. Lord, if you want me to study architecture, let me be accepted. If not, reject me and guide me to electrical engineering. Weeks later, the email arrived. I had been accepted into the architecture program at Singapore Polytechnic. My heart overflowed with gratitude. God's plan were indeed perfect. Looking back, I see how God has been orchestrating everything, from planting the seeds of faith in my childhood to helping me get into architecture. He has been faithful in every step of my way. Friends, I stand here because of His grace. My decision to get baptized is my declaration of trust in Him, not just for my salvation, but for my every area of my life. I may not know exactly what the future holds, but I know the one who holds it. His plans are always good. Thank you for listening to my testimony. I hope it encourages you to trust in God's perfect timing and to take the next step of faith, whatever it may be.